confirming with us, I should say, that they will no longer have Ron Rivera as head coach. And this brings an end to Rivera's 4 seasons as head coach with the Commanders. Wisdom Martin and Chick Hernandez are live in Ashburn at the Commanders training facility, looking for any reaction yet. I know this just happened about an hour ago.
Right. It just happened about an hour ago, and as you just mentioned, WUSA9 is the first station to confirm with the Commanders that Coach Ron Rivera has been relieved of his duties here in Ashburn and with the Washington Commanders. Chick Hernandez is here now to break this down and dive into this a little bit more.
Sure.
And Chick, this is not, it's been 4 years, not a very successful run when you look at the numbers.
At all. And by the way, to answer your question, no reaction yet. Players are driving right by us into the facility as we speak as they get ready for a team meeting and then the locker clean out. Desmond Purnell has moved inside to that locker when we get reaction from the players. So we'll get that a little bit later on today. But as far as the numbers go, the numbers weren't very good, obviously, for Ron Rivera. 26-40-1 overall record in 4 years. To put it in perspective, by the way, you're talking about Jay Gruden and Mike Shanahan, the previous coaches. Shanahan, 8 games under 500. Jay Gruden, 8 games under 500. Ron Rivera, 8 games under 500. So this is not a surprise, and it's not the end-all, be-all. Ron Rivera was an average coach. His overall record, 102, 103, and 1 throughout his entire coaching career. He was an average coach, above-average man, which I think you're going to hear in that locker room today. And I've had, obviously the weekly sit-downs with him. He's a personable guy, and the stuff that he's been through in his coaching career, and particularly here with the Washington Commanders, I wouldn't wish on anybody, to be quite honest with you.
It's a very difficult job, and when you consider the fact that when Ron Rivera came here from Carolina, the year he was dismissed, well, the year before, they changed ownership. David Tepper bought the team in Carolina. The next year, he made it through probably about halfway through the season, and then he was fired there as well. So he's been through this kind of thing before where the ownership changes and he loses his job.
No question. He's been through it before, and now the tenure for Ron Rivera is over. Ron Rivera was named the 30th head coach in franchise history on New Year's Day, 2020. Brought in by former owner Dan Snyder, the head coach was also given considerable say over the team's roster. His first season was anything but normal. He set about changing the culture of the team on the field and, perhaps more important, in the building. He coached the team in a season altered by the COVID-19 pandemic, while he also dealt with a cancer diagnosis. Rivera coached while receiving treatment. In December of that year, he released quarterback Dwayne Haskins for on-field struggles and off-the-field controversies. Despite all the chaos, he led Washington with a 7-9 record to an NFC East title. 2021, he had quarterback Taylor Heineke as an up-and-comer, but he went and got journeyman quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick lasted less than 1 game, injured, out for the season. Re-enter Heineke. They finished 7-10. The next year, Rivera signed Carson Wentz to take over at quarterback. They went 2-4, and Heineke was back under center. Needing to win their final 2 games to get into the playoffs, Rivera went back to Wentz. They lost. The fans' disappointment got even deeper when their coach didn't realize his team had been eliminated from playoff contention.
To clarify, you said you would talk about quarterback next week. If you guys are eliminated today by what happens at 4 o'clock, is Sam Howell in consideration?
We can be eliminated.
Yeah, if the Packers beat the Vikings, then you guys are eliminated.
But here's what he did do. He did change the culture of the locker room for the better. He navigated the team's controversial name change, and he had guys that were accountable. Unfortunately, that is not the barometer by which coaches keep their jobs. It's wins and losses.
4 years in Washington, Riverboat Ron will sail off with one more wound, a loss to Dallas, and a coaching record here in the nation's capital of 26-40 and 1 tie.
Washington will now look for their 31st head coach in franchise history.
All righty. We also have the statement right here from the Josh Harris group, and I'm just going to take a little bit of it. It says here that today we made the decision to part ways with Ron Rivera. And it goes on to say, I would like to thank Ron and his wife, Stephanie, for all that they did for the Commanders and DMV community, especially during the ownership transition. Ron helped navigate this organization through some challenging times. He's a good man and thoughtful leader who has positively contributed to this organization and the NFL, and wishing the Rivera family nothing but the best moving forward.
And I feel like there's a lot of that's happening with the franchise now. I know that we heard from some players about how they feel about this. We talked to them before about how they felt about the potential of head coach Rivera being relieved of his duties. And I believe that we actually have Terry McLaurin, a very visible player on the Commanders, speaking out about it.
The one thing that stands out about him is how he handled himself in probably his lowest moment in his life when he was dealing with cancer. Like, it takes a real human being and a person to deal with the challenges of cancer, where we know that it takes people's lives. And he was coming in each and every day, whether it was with a mask, whether it was if he wasn't feeling the best, he's coming straight off treatment. He's coming to be out there for us. And so that's one of the things I'll always respect, because that's the true character of somebody.
And there it is. I think that speaks. I mean, he was always known as that player's coach, having played himself.
Showing up.
And showing up. So, you know, there is something about that respect from your players. Nobody necessarily, you knew the team had to move forward, but it doesn't sound like he had lost the locker room.
Right.
Yeah.
And at this hour, we do have some new information coming in that we can confirm with you. GM Martin Mayhew and EVP, the Executive Vice President of Player Personnel, Marty Herney, we're told will stay on through the search process. So again, this new information just coming into our newsroom that we can confirm. GM Martin Mayhew and Executive Vice President of Player Personnel, Marty Herney, will stay on throughout the search process. So still it is a long road ahead.
It's a long road ahead, and we know that they have tasked two very high-profile consultants, people in the sports world, to help with whatever comes next at this road. But it sounds like they're ready to embark on that journey.
And we will continue to follow this breaking news for you throughout the day here on WUSA9 and on our website, WUSA9.com, as well as additional Commanders content on WUSA9+.
You can trust WUSA9 to be the first to bring you confirmed, accurate information directly from the team. Now, our Great Day Washington hosts Kristen and Ellen are on standby. They're going to join us right after the break.